Isn't it weird, though? Like, all reservations aside, all precognitions on tarot and its validity reserved. Just in and of itself, don't you think it's weird that every reading I do about this, I always get these exact cards in this exact order? Neseo exhales. You are blinking tiredly at your computer screen across the dining table. I don't know. Shit, I'd probably just say you're not shuffling them correctly, you huff, glancing back at your sibling. I know I'm... Neseo snaps back, stopping abruptly, swallowing their frustration. I've been, they say, coding with the word with emphasis, shuffling. You know I didn't believe in this shit to begin with either. Can't you admit that it's weird? Okay, you say, pushing up your glasses. It's weird. Yeah, they reply. It's weird. There is then a wanting pause, as if they needed more in the response than that. Some expectation had gone unspoken. Neseo stares at you for a long moment before raising their eyebrows pointedly and mimed a silent and to add to their sentence. Ness, you say, frustrated. If you have a fucking non-tarot-based complaint, I'd love to hear it. What is the probability of this, even? If the universe wanted to beat us over the head with an omen, how many cards are in that deck, you prompt? 78, they reply. You stuff some numbers into your computer's calculator just because you can. Then in a 3-card spread, if shuffled properly, there is a 1 in 474,552 chance, possibility that you got those 3 cards in that order, you say. See, 1 in nearly 5,000? That's weird, they insist. But, Neseo, it is not necessarily any more or any less unlikely than any other fucking 3-card spread in existence, which is also 1 out of 474,552, you say, peering into your coffee, finding it empty. If Mondes came to you with an obvious ill omen, would you listen to him, Ness accuses? No, you retort, because I make my decisions based on facts. Yeah, right, they mutter to their cards as they shuffle. You wouldn't say it like that, they whisper aside. You close your laptop lid. Some part of you is passingly aware of how tired you are, that you stayed up late last day looking twice over through the fleet files, that it's the gentle, toxic touch of a headache pounding near your sinuses you're angry with and not your younger sibling, but not aware enough to cut this conversation short when it was so unceremoniously handed off to you. I'm sorry, you say. Do you have a fucking problem you'd like to speak a little louder on? I don't know, Hanagi, Neseo says. Maybe I am crazy. Maybe I am stupid. I didn't say that, you interject, but they continue as if they haven't heard you. The guy at my AA meetings was like, Neseo, you should get a hobby. So I did. But now that I'm actually good at the tarot cards, everyone's like, shut up, Neseo, get a real hobby. You are so cringe with those things, showing obvious signs of mental illness. You're so annoying now. We preferred you when you were... Don't say that, you reply gently, sensing the end of the sentence. I'm happy you're having fun, Ness, really, but I'm not going to suddenly integrate cards-based decision-making into my belief system because of it. 5 times, they hiss. 5 times I got this exact spread. I'm glad you're sober and you're finding fucking new ways to spend your time, really, but I think you're taking this one a little too seriously. Yeah, one sweep sober. The 6-Paraguay trip, the sweep trip, they're running out of awards to give me. I'd like to thank my Lucis and the Academy, they mumble. You sit still at the table, staring, as you often are, unsure of what to say, how to bridge the gap of the wealth that you do not and cannot understand. What's that supposed to mean? You say quietly. Everyone's still really proud of you. Still, they say, rolling closer to you. Is that a threat? They retort. No, you snap back. I thought... They trail off, their gaze trapped at a fixed point on the wall. What? You prompt. A thought if I was sober you guys would treat me different, they say, so quietly you almost can't hear. Ness, you say softly. This thing, it'll fail, they say. No, Ness, you stutter, your panic really starting to set in. Your sobriety is not going to fail. Not my sobriety, Hanagi. This, they say, gesturing at your laptop. This whole stupid heist, it's gonna go ass backwards in a way that fucks up our family even more. All I see, every reading I do. We don't know that, you defend. Yes, we do, they retort. Hanagi, they say, their voice layered and gruff in a manner not typical of the floaty, ethereal way Neseo often spoke. They turn away. I get that you, weren't there for the worst of it, okay? When me and Mondas were on the run, you were in space, but it was bad. It was bad. I couldn't tell days apart, they say, the voice they're muttering and wavering. I still don't remember a lot of it. And if you wrap up our family in something that puts me in that position again, I will never forgive you. You cannot dive headfirst into shit that's gonna make us wanted by the government again, and then act like you give a shit about my sobriety, they snap. You shrink under their gaze. Okay, Ness. You know, if you wanted fucking out, you could have just said so. We can find some place for you. I don't want out. I want everyone out, Hanagi. None of you should be doing this. Not Mondes, who is trying so hard to act like he doesn't care about reliving all his shit from his childhood. Not B, who is trying to build a life on foundations so fragile they threaten to shatter at any moment. And not you, Who what? You snap. They stare at you, a gaze unforgiving in its totality and singularity of emotion. Who works too much and needs to give yourself time to process what happened with Dulkyu, they say. You are so blindsided by this you nearly physically stumble. It's been nearly 2 sweeps, you mutter, since you and the other eldest Chong cut ties. Look me in the eyes and tell me you've stopped to breathe sense, Neseo dares. And you don't answer. Because you can't. Maybe it's not the cards Neseo is good at. Maybe it's people they can pick up and read through, a quick and complete vision all-consuming in its scrutiny. Through everything. Dazeos, the prison break. B, I have been on your side, Ness pleads. I backed you even when you were wrong. Just this once, I'm saying don't do it, Hanagi, please. You didn't see what I saw, you snap back. In those fucking files, I have a duty to the world as a doctor. The words feel weak and paper thin in the face of Neseo's plea, but you believe them. With your whole heart. You took an oath to heal, and you can't pass the horrors you've seen by. It's easier to stay up late, chipping away at hacking and planning and busy work on your computer, than to lay in bed staring at the unforgiving darkness of the ceiling as images from Feyerlong's medical files play on loop just behind your eyes. Fine, they spit out. Fine, they say, preparing to bargain. If you have to do it, fine, but leave B and Mondes out of it. They're not ready for this. B and Mondes, you say slowly, are grown adults who made their own decisions based on the same information I had. This, you say, is not about us, Neseo, you continue gesturing. It's about saving countless lives. Well, it's us, they insist, pointing at the cards on the table, that are gonna get fucked over. You stare down at the spread they keep trying to explain to you, at Neseo's vandalized tarot cards that it's still so hard to take seriously. In one motion, you sweep them off the table. Future's not here yet, you declare, storming off. Several hours later, you are sitting at the kitchen table, arms wrapped around your head. When Mondes comes in from his afternoon class, he does so nearly silently. You only notice the slight melodic jingle as he hangs up his keys, the quiet setting down of his bag on the table. He heads straight for the kitchen, probably hungry from a long day of classes. You are certain he notices your distraught demeanor, but he does not comment on it, instead saying simply and effectively, "Hi." "Hi," you groan, hearing him open the fridge behind you. Finally, you pull your face out of your arms, squinting in the afternoon light. You had taken off your glasses. It had been more comfortable moping without them, and everything is blurry. "I think I was a total bitch to Neseo this morning," you say. "Yeah," Mondes says, washing some vegetables in the sink. "I heard." Added to the list of my... You were going to say crimes, but you feel a sudden wave of shame overtake you, drowning the word. "Are you also mad at me?" "No," he says, "but it sure took you a while to ask me that." "What the fuck do you mean?" you say, your fingers finding their way to your glasses, which you put on your face. "That you never asked me that," he says. "Elaborate," you request. Mondes is silent for a long moment, the only sound in the kitchen the quiet thuds of his knife against the cutting board. "I miss you, Hanagi," he says. You swivel around your chair to stare at him, processing his statement. "You don't get to fucking say that," you stumble, frustrated. "You don't get to give me the cold shoulder for pedigrees and then be like, 'I miss you.'" "Well, I can," he says, "and I did, and it's true." "Fuck you," you retort. There's a silence as he continues chopping, the two of you both daring each other to be the first to apologize, and your ego crumbles first. "I'm sorry," you say. "I put you in a difficult situation with B." "I don't even give a fuck anymore," he says. "But why did we not just have this conversation sooner, instead of you just assuming I was still mad and avoiding the subject for pedigrees?" "I don't know, you would just be like, 'Why the fuck did we bring back B?' And I wouldn't know what to say, like what the fuck could I do? Kill her again?" you defend. "Why didn't we talk about it?" he pleads, "instead of you having that conversation in your own head and deciding it finished," he says, turning around, setting down the knife. "I don't know. I feel like you act like I'm a lot more angry and demanding of a person than I actually am," he accuses. "Talking about shit doesn't have to be a huge fight. I know that's what you're used to," he says. "Everyone in this family comes into any kind of emotional talk with their hackles already raised. I've seen it. I think I understand why, with the whole having a sister who was a telepath and a control freak and a manipulator, but it's just exhausting. When any time things get serious, everyone is already on the defensive the moment a conversation even starts. You don't have to justify yourself to me, Hanagi. Why pay for a therapist? Everyone around you seems so sure they know everything that's going on with you already. Your think band monologues instinctively, but you don't say the words out loud because you'd just be fulfilling his prophecy. "I'm sorry," you say. "I'm working on it." "I know," he says, turning back to his cutting board, firing up the stove. "I'm not mad about B anymore. I get it more." "Get what?" you ask, your back straightening. "She really was, sick," he says, "and I guess she's tolerable enough now, so I'm over it," he says, dumping his peppers and onions in the frying pan. "Tolerable enough. High praise," you joke. "Don't tell her I said that," he jokes back. "I like to keep her on her toes." "My lips are sealed," you say, staring at him, unable to believe that that's it. The problem you had agonized over for months could be so easily tossed aside by him. A knot inside your rib cage you thought would never come loose slips apart so gently and smoothly it almost gives you whiplash, and you feel a little lightheaded, disoriented, like walking out of a movie theater into the evening light. "Yeah, you say, your voice wavering. "I really fucking missed you too," you admit. The moment is almost subtle enough to miss, But you swear his shoulders ease a little too at this declaration. Ness will come around, he says, turning down the burner. You think, you reply, trying not to sound too hopeful. Yeah, he says. Besides, there aren't really bad tarot cards. How do you mean, you ask? I'm not an expert, he trails off, but from what little I know about divination, it's not supposed to be literal. Death doesn't just mean someone will die, it means change. It can mean the death of a concept, the passing of time, all kinds of shit. Could be the intoxicant dying, you offer. Yeah. It comforts me, you say, that you're not worried, knowing you're also like fucking superstitious. Oh, I'm worried, he says. It's just kind of old hat for me, to be honest. I get ill omens wherever I go and whatever I do. If I died every time I got a death omen, I'd be the world's most fucked up zombie. Might as well relax and not base every decision I make on that fear, he rambles. What? This happens to you that often? You say, curious about how casually Mondes refers to such a thing. Sometimes, he says, suddenly mildly abrasive. The word feels like a door stopper putting an end to the middle of the conversation. You want sautéed veggies, he asks. It can be so comforting how much weight she's gained. Because in moments like these, when the lights are dim and she's sitting on the bed you share, leafing through the papers with a paused, quizzical expression, like she's caught in the tail end of a thought, things look so much like the two of you are back in space again, you stiffen. But then you pause, blinking, half awake, only for your breath to ease as you trace the rounder shapes of her cheeks, the comfortable pajamas she wears, patterned over with isopods, the long cold cup of tea she's forgotten on the nightstand, pleasures and decadences you would have killed for on that tiny ship. She is the same troll, from the way she dog-ears her papers and how she color codes her highlighting, and how she sits cross-legged and the handwriting in her notes, but in no way is she recognizable as that skeleton that used to haunt you. You sigh, setting down your bag. She gathers up some of her papers, making room for you to sit. Okay, she says, I have another weird pitch. Cryogenics wasn't weird, you retort. It made perfect sense. Getting Abby, she says slowly, and freezing them so they can't die in the process of the complex surgery we'll need to give them to disengage and replace their complicated prosthetics, arguably weird, she justifies. It's the only sensible way to do it, you reply, looking through some of the papers she has about. I know it's probably the only way to do it, She sighs. It's weird to make that decision for Abadel without them knowing. I can't imagine them saying no, but it feels gross not to be able to tell them till the literal moment we're there. Any communication could put us in jeopardy, you reply. But yeah, it sucks, and it feels like shit, you concede, sighing. Like, congratulations, you're free. Now you get to go cryo-sleep in a lead box until we're absolutely fucking sure we got every single fleet bit out of your body. Not winning any ethics awards for that one, but go on. What's the new weird pitch? Bee bites her lip, leafing through her papers. Oh, now you're shy, you tease, peering over her shoulder. It's got poetic irony, she says of her plan before she explains it. I kind of don't give a shit about poetic irony, you say, in my heist. Hear me out, she begins. We poison Abadel's blood. You stare at her. Listen, not in a way that hurts or kills them. Okay, with the intoxicant, right? She's an obsessed megalomaniac. She's put sweeps of time and fleet funding into this. We free Abby, the only source for the chemicals she needs to make her psionic cocaine. She'll never stop looking for them. Unless, she pauses to breathe, Abidel's blood is unusable. And the intoxicant, wouldn't you know it, has a ton of scientific research on how to make people more poisonous. I see, you say. The poetic irony. Right? I don't know, B. It sounds dangerous and kind of insane. We ask, we can offer. Right? If they say no, they say no, she says. You say, putting your head in your hands. Fucking shit, dude. We shouldn't have to do all this shit. If we can make Abidel useless to Longs, she says, then they don't have to spend the rest of their free life looking over their shoulder. She says, and then deflates a little, looking back to her paper. But, it's a weird pitch. We don't have to. Just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. You said we want backups for our backups for our backups. This is backups upon backups. It's just kind of deranged, you retort. Kind of twitch-de-morgue-brained idea. Out of left field, ridiculous, morally questionable, self-sacrificing, you rant, standing up and walking back and forth. Yeah, kind of like unceremonious and unexpected, like, I don't know, she rambles sarcastically. Blowing up a prison to lock the security inside it? Fuck you, you say to the wall. Fuck you, you repeat, turning around and walking back over. Show me what study you're reading, you say, snatching the paper from her hands.